सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति. Number one, we have the same profession of teaching. I'm also a teacher of Vedanta. It's very interesting how the idea of a teacher myself, what will I do after I return to India? I will be a professional engineer someplace in an organization. That would be the immediate thing I would think of doing. I said, in that case, I'll be sitting in one office and in a corner doing something, that's about all. I would do some contribution, but it would be very limited. So I said, no, I should better become a teacher or a professor in an engineering college. Then I can perhaps contribute to more people. Then I said, but by the time the students come to engineering, they're already molded in their own mind, and it's very difficult really to change them. If I want to contribute something to their life, it would be difficult when they've grown so much. So maybe I should go to not engineering college, science college. In our days, we had first year intro science and then engineering and things like that. And I said, even science college also, students already passed their high school and they've already become, 6, 17, 18 years. Maybe I should go to high school, become teacher there. Maybe I should go to middle school, maybe I should go to primary school and become a teacher. I thought that was the molding years of the children, and that is where I can contribute the most. So this kind of idea was toying in my mind, did not go too far, but one thing is that I had this desire to in some way contribute to the fundamental making of a person, of a human being, which at that time I saw as a primary school teacher. Then I came in contact with Vedanta when I was in New York itself, listening to Swami Dayananda, listening to him. And after that, I saw I want to study. So listening to Vedanta, one thing I realized, what to understand from the lectures, and then we had study groups and things like that was going on. So I had a glimpse of what Vedanta had to teach. One thing I realized that you must have in-depth knowledge really to benefit from this. And the purpose of in-depth knowledge of Vedanta was that I would become a better engineer. My commitment was only to engineering, but should become a better engineer. Or whatever I do, I should become better in doing what I want to do. So then I decided to, fortunately, an opportunity was available to pursue full-time study in Bombay, Sandipani Sadhanaya. Our Swamiji was, I had not met him before then, and I didn't know who Swamiji was, I only knew that Swamiji. Anyway, I came, and my first meeting was quite enough, to sort of feel that I'm in the right place. 2-3 days, I think I just became a very devoted student. And then the study was over, and then Swamiji asked us, so what plans do you have? They thought I was coming from United States, I wanted to go back. No plans? Oh, then I have plans for you. Okay? That's like just asked me to go to Ahmedabad and Gujarat and start teaching. That's how I became teacher. And what better teacher can you be than the teacher of Vedanta? Because Vedanta really is the most fundamental truth of life. What Vedanta does, it basically addresses the reality of life. as the Swami would explain, what does Vedanta do? It is, of course, a field of knowledge, but the knowledge about the most fundamental realities of life. I mean, every branch of knowledge addresses its fundamentals. So a physicist wants to know what it is that matter is made up of. A chemist may want to know what a chemical is made up of. A biologist would want to know what life is made of. That's how they. Meaning that in each branch of knowledge, a scientist or a person truly wedded to the knowledge wants to understand the reality of life. Everybody wants to understand. Science is, of course, in search of the fundamental reality of life. Except that a physicist thinks that physical reality is fundamental. A biologist may feel that the biological reality is the fundamental. But each one of them is in search of the fundamental reality of life. Or they should be. So Vedanta, of course, it addresses the most fundamental reality of life. Everybody takes for granted something. A physicist takes for granted that reality is a physical reality, right? Isn't it? Our physics professor will tell us. So when you are investigating, probing into what the truth is, it is taken for granted that truth is there in the matter, and that's there for you. Going to the heart of the matter, you keep on subdividing and subdividing and subdividing, finding the most fundamental building block. So they would understand the life, understand the universe. How can you understand something? You can understand something when you understand the most fundamental building block. After all, if you want to determine whether rice is cooked or not, all you need is just one grain to see whether it is cooked or not. You don't. Similarly, you discover the most fundamental building block. That's what a physicist is after. So what's the latest research now? What does it say? What's the most fundamental particle? Boson particle. What is it? God's particle. Fine. It will go on. One thing about this is it will go on forever. You know why? Anyway, we'll come to that. Why? But this is the quest. Unfortunately, this quest presupposes certain things. What is it? That the reality is a physical reality. So while investigating or searching for the reality, a physicist looks into the matter to understand what is the most fundamental building block of matter. Most fundamental particle, that is our way, whatever the reality is. Unfortunately, he excludes himself. He's already presupposed that reality is something different from me. So he's looking there. A chemist also looks there. Every scientist looks there. In their own field. However, there is already a presumption that what I want to know is to be found there in something other than myself. Is that right? Do I understand? So, for whatever reason, the subject is included while investigating the real being object. Although they think science does not accept consciousness as an independent principle. Science believes that consciousness is the attribute of matter. They believe at some point in time, in course of evolution, there was a primordial soup with the right temperature, right combination of matter, and consciousness evolved. So consciousness is the property of matter. And even medical science also believe that consciousness is produced in the brain. So whatever kind of chemical combinations are going on, that's what produces consciousness. When it stops doing, no consciousness, you're gone. So brain dead is real dead. So they also believe that consciousness is the product of some combination of matter. Do I understand it correctly? This is the basic assumption. So as far as science is concerned, what is the ultimate reality? What is Atma? This is Atma. The body is the self. Is not so? A scientist doesn't accept previous birth, doesn't accept new birth. Scientist doesn't. You may do as a person is a different thing. As a devotee, as a person, as a Hindu, you may have your own belief system. That's a belief system. But a true scientist cannot accept consciousness as a principle different from the body. Because there is no way of demonstrating consciousness independent of the body. As long as body is, consciousness is, no body, no consciousness, then body is, this is called Anvaya Vyatireka Vedanta. Body is, consciousness is. Body is not, consciousness is not. Therefore, consciousness is dependent upon body. Of the true reality of body and consciousness, what is independent? Body is, none of the consciousness is. Body is not, consciousness is not. Therefore, consciousness is dependent upon the body. Some attribute of body, property of body. When the body has some combination, whatever the thing, then the consciousness that goes. You know, in our tradition, we had the philosophers called Charvaka. Charvaka means materialists. So they said that science accepts perception and inference. Science accepts these two what called pramana, the means of knowledge. Perception, pratyaksha means perception. What you know through the senses, inference, and you infer from that. So all knowledge of science is inference, understand? Because we have already gone beyond perception. What you can see, there was a time when you knew what you knew, inferring what you see, but nowadays you can't say anything. You've got all kinds of telescopes and so forth. And so when you say there is this particle, nobody's seen that particle. It's just an inference. Is it not so? When some effect is created on some screen, then you know that something is there, and from that you infer what it is. So perception and inference. They won't accept the Vedas, they won't accept the scripture, they won't accept anybody else. We only accept nobody's perception. We accept our intellect. So what's the ultimate test? Our intellect is the ultimate pramana. For knowledge based on perception and inference. But Charvakas did not even accept inference, only perception. So you know what they say? There are four elements. Earth, water, fire and space. What is the body? A combination of these four elements. How long is body alive? As long as those elements remain in a certain combination. The moment that combination is disturbed, so for them body is Atma. And consciousness is only when these four elements combine in a certain way, that consciousness is. When they do not combine, when that combination is disturbed, no consciousness. Science is no different from that, by the way. That's exactly what medical science, everybody believes only that. So why am I saying all this? What I am saying is how science conducts its investigation into the ultimate reality by accepting perception and inference as the means of knowledge. It does not accept what was Shabda. See, in our culture, Shabda, verbal testimony. Verbal testimony also is accepted as an independent means of knowledge. Like in a court of law. This witness comes and presents this. So that becomes verbal testimony, And that becomes an important aspect in arriving at the conclusion of part of the judge. So ultimately, the person who is a witness is the ultimate fellow. So he has witnessed it and he describes. So therefore his words are most trustworthy. That's called verbal testimony. That's called Shabda. The words or testimony on the part of a person who has direct experience and who is trustworthy. That experience, but they must be trustworthy also. So we call Shabda means verbal testimony on the part of the person who has the knowledge, who is trustworthy, who is selfless, who has no agenda, who does not twist the facts, who present them as they are, right? That is called, there is also Pramana. So Vedantins accept the additional Pramana. Perception is there, inference is there, but a verbal testimony. Of whom? Of a witness. Who is the witness? Witness is the one who has experienced it, directly seen it. Similarly, our witnesses who are the, Rishis. So Rishis are those who have seen it, meaning that directly known the truth. And their words, and we also accept the Rishis as trustworthy people, enlightened people, selfless people, trustworthy people. And their testimony or their statements also are accepted as Pramanam, as a means of knowledge. So for Vedanta, perception is not a Pramanam. Inference is not a Pramanam. What's the Pramanam? Pramanam is what? Valid means of knowledge. It's called Pramanam. For example, right now you're listening to these words. You know what's a Pramanam? The faculty of hearing is the means of listening to these words. Looking at me, your eyes tell you Swami is sitting there. So what is your means of knowledge to see who is sitting here? Your eyes. Now when you look at me, it's wait a minute. You can't be wearing orange. No. The eyes, your eyes give you a testimony that Swami is wearing orange robes. Your mind says, no, it can't be. It has to be yellow. No, it has to be white. Suppose the mind says that, what will you do? Will you accept the mind? Will you accept the eyes? In terms of perceiving colors, only eyes are Pramana. Suppose the mind says, the Swami can't be talking English. No, he can't talk, he must be talking in Sanskrit. But no, you accept what information is given by our faculty of hearing. That's called trust. We trust the eyes that the information they give us is right. We trust our ears that the information they give us is right. You have 5 organs of perception, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, etc. So we trust each one of them that the information they give is right. In case we doubt, then we go to a doctor. No, somebody, suppose the eyes start telling you it's yellow color, then there is a problem. Then there is a defect in the organ, then of course there is a question. If it is defectless, called nirdosha, free from dosha or defect, then we trust. Similarly also, we trust. What do we trust? The testimony of Rishi is called the scripture. So for Vedanta also investigates into the most fundamental reality, because that's what we want. That's called knowledge. So knowing the most fundamental is the means of knowing everything. That's what Vedanta teaches. Once you know the building block, you know the whole universe, isn't it? You must have heard the name of Laplace, the great physicist and mathematician of France, Laplace. This is Laplace equation. This is Laplace constant for the There are many, but you have to understand how the universe runs. He gave you several volumes of work, also the mathematical equations, to explain how the universe works. With all this work, he went to Napoleon and showed him. Napoleon saw. Says, Monsieur, Mister, it's wonderful. There is no God in this. I don't need God. Napoleon, there is no God in what all you have written. You are explaining the world without God. He says, I don't need God to explain the world. So that is a scientist who only depends upon his intellect and nothing else. But a Vedantin accepts the limitations of human intellect. Number one, that we are ignorant when we are born. Number two, our means of knowledge are all limited. You can see only within certain frequencies, hear within certain frequencies, some limitation of the means of knowledge. Limit of interpreting what you know also. Sometimes you think that I know everything, that also can be a delusion. So many defects are there in the human intellect. Therefore, we do not accept the product of human intellect as the ultimate. We accept as ultimate only that is revealed by an intellect which suffers from no defect, that is Ishvara. So Ishvara's mind is a perfect mind, and as much as no defect, is omniscient. How does Ishvara talk to us? Through the Rishis. So Rishis are not themselves the original fellows. Ishvara has revealed the truth to them. And then they tell us, so they are the witnesses, we can say. That's how the word Shabda becomes the Pramanam. We have the same trust in the words of Upanishad as we have in the eyes and ears. How without questioning I accept what my eyes tell me or what my ears tell me, so also without questioning. Without questioning means you don't understand but not question. So that's what Vedanta is, explains or reveals the most fundamental reality of life. And you know what Vedanta says? What science says? Matter is the most fundamental reality of life. And consciousness is the property of matter. What does Vedanta says? Vedanta says that consciousness is the most fundamental reality and matter is the property of consciousness. Would you believe that? They say that the matter manifests as consciousness. Vedanta says consciousness manifests as matter. So you can't prove, the scientist cannot prove his point. No, this person can prove his point. So when I was talking to a group of scientists, hey, conscious is not the reality, he says. Matter is reality. He says, please tell me, are you matter or consciousness? I'm consciousness. There is evidence right there. So who are you? You don't think you are matter. You know that you are a conscious being. So, also Vedanta says, consciousness is the most fundamental building block. But you know the fundamental building block, then you know everything made up of that, isn't it? A famous statement in Vedanta says, within one particle of earth, you know everything that is made up of earth. Within one particle of gold, you know everything made up of gold. You know one particle that you call boson or whatever, God's particle, supposedly you know everything. That's the quest. Vedanta also is the same quest. Except the most fundamental reality is consciousness, not matter. If you know consciousness, then you know everything, because what is nothing but manifestation of consciousness. There is no matter. All that is consciousness. That alone becomes tangible. So science says that this matter is nothing but manifestation of energy. Science says, physics says that what we call matter is the waves of energy. So for them, energy is the most fundamental principle. We say that energy is the manifestation of consciousness. So So consciousness is the most fundamental reality. Where is that consciousness? If consciousness is the most fundamental reality, where is that? In the cupboard, this table, the wall, where is it? Where is it? Everywhere? It's you. Are you conscious or you are matter? You are inert? Who is consciousness? You. The music consciousness everywhere. You know what it means? You are everywhere. And that is what we know. You know everything. Everything remains unknown. And then when you realize that your consciousness has no form, because it includes all forms, there's no limit. Consciousness is boundless, limitless, formless, complete, purna, means happiness. So who are you? Consciousness means what? Formless means what? Boundless means what? Happiness. Once you know yourself, that is anything you need to be known. So that's the ultimate quest of becoming happy. Vedanta teaches that by knowing you become happy. What is happiness? But ignorance makes you unhappy. Knowledge brings happiness. That's why the quest for knowledge. That's what Vedanta. So that is the primary teaching. I'm a teacher of primary school teacher. So this is how it happened, from where those days to where we are, of course, with all the grace of the teachers. So it's a privilege to be a teacher. You are all privileged people. And I'm happy that I also am in your same class as you, same category. It's a privilege to be a teacher because they are a great contributor. The contribution of knowledge is the greatest contribution. Nahi vidya samam dana, meaning there is no dana or contribution comparable to knowledge. And therefore, you are very privileged people that you have the opportunity to contribute to knowledge of the children and the students. Because as we said yesterday, that's power. That's what makes you who you are. And when can you best contribute? When you are best equipped. See, for learning you require a few tools, for teaching you require many, many tools. To defend yourself you need something, but to attack you need many more tools or weapons. So teacher needs lots of tools as compared to a student. Meaning that an ideal teacher is the one who is very well versed with this subject matter, who has the capacity to make the subject interesting. The students, being what they are only interested in learning that which is interesting. Otherwise they get bored right away. Even I am talking, many people get bored, what are you talking about? Suppose you don't get interest. So understand that the students want to learn all right, but we have to make that learning interesting. The reason why they lose interest in Sanskrit is Rama, so it is so boring. People just don't interest. We lost interest in physics, geography and history, and who remembers Baba and Later on, in my later years, again I was sitting in the same office I'm talking about, and there was the world map. Then I was looking at the map, I realized, geography is so important, because geography makes history, and history makes geography. Why? How geography makes history? You see these two fellows together, that's why they fight, to conquer each other, that's why history is created. So history, the geography has changed, the region has changed. I realize how important geography is, how important history is, how it connects me. So basically, we are only interested in us. Upanishad says, Atma Sukamaya Sarvam Priyam Bhavati. Whatever is dear to me is dear because the self is dear. Basically, the only one I am interested in is myself. Everything else is secondary. If in some way I realize that what I am learning has something to do with myself, then I am interested. If it has nothing to do with myself, I soon lose interest. Therefore, whatever subject we are teaching, if you can connect it to the self, history also you connect that you are a product of the history, you show them. You are a product of the geography, Sanskrit, physics, chemistry, how it relates to a person, to my life. That is when I am interested. I am interested in myself and my life. I will study physics because I have to study that. I will study and I work hard because I have to score marks. That's kind of relationship I have with the topic is what? I am required to study them. What can I do? I have to go to school. I have to mug up things. I have to get marks. That means I don't remember a thing about physics because it did not did not in any way concern me. If it concerns me, then it becomes my knowledge. Otherwise, it remains knowledge in the books and for examination only. Then they don't grow. See, only when the knowledge is assimilated by me, becomes my knowledge, then I grow in maturity, because knowledge is wealth. When it becomes my knowledge. Otherwise, we had a milkman. His son used to come and deliver milk every day. Every day I would buy milk, 5 rupees a day. And then I'll make an account, how many days and so how many rupees. So 24 days. So I told him, 24 days, how many rupees do I pay you? 5, 10, 15, 20. That fellow did not realize. He can mug up 5 times 1 is 5, 5 times 2 is 2, 10. But he did not realize that 5 rupees per day for 24 days means 24 times 5, 120 answer, but he started 5, 10, 50. Meaning that he did not realize that what he had studied in terms of a table, multiplication table of 24, 1, 2, 24, 48, 96, that he knows. He does not connect that here is the application of that. You follow? Meaning that unless you understand the knowledge is connected with you, it becomes of no use to you. You forget everything. Only way the knowledge can bless me is when it is connected. Then only it becomes that is a job of a teacher. Teacher's job is not only to teach and communicate, but make it interesting to the student. And the way it can become interesting is when student discovers there is something in it for me. First question, what is in it for me? That's always a question. So why should I study this? Children just don't care to go to school. They don't want to find time to multiplication, addition. They know. People don't want to do and they're forced to do because I remember solving all kinds of mathematical examples. This example, I know that this kind of example are asked in the test, and so we do that. That's where the knowledge remains. Doesn't become our knowledge. Shakespeare is all right. Milton also is all right. Kalidas also, everybody is all right where they are. I mug up something. Sanskrit passage we mug up. Translation also is mugged up. Then it reproduce. And it just slips from my mind. I asked him, what is 6 Ks of Rama? Doesn't remember anything. So, it is not that our students score well, which is good, of course, they should. But they should really learn. That knowledge which they have assimilated will be knowledge which will help them to grow. To become better engineers and better doctors and better whatever they are. Indians are not. I myself discovered when I went to the United States that all my emphasis all along was in passing examinations, in solving problems and formulas. Only when I went there to the college, then I realized that it is fundamentals that I'm emphasizing. So That is how I myself also was interested in fundamental things. That's how Vedanta became interesting to me. Because it's teaching the most fundamental. Here, I'm not suggesting you are not doing it, but this is my experience. To be happy, writing papers, scoring marks, and doing what is required to do that. And we are all very good in applications, in applying formulas and stuff like that. But how to create that formula, that is what real science is. This is technology. We are good technicians. Given science, we know how to use it. To produce a science, India does not produce scientists. Doesn't produce original thinkers. There's nobody who shines. Nobody has got any Nobel Prize, nothing, Our IITs are good, all technicians are good. Technology is good. All technologists, Indians are good technocrats. But science is a different entity. And that is where the real growth is. We always have to borrow science from elsewhere. Or we have to go someplace. We have some Nobel lawyers, but somebody in some Srinivasan in Manipur and science, all of them in United States, in foreign countries. Nobody did anything here. In any field. Of course, music is one thing, perhaps when you excel always, and I guess literature. We think that we excel in many fields because we have those fundamental knowledge. At some point in time, all this education system, the fundamentals become less and less important. Application became more important. Examination became important. Scores became important. See, in the United States, not only scores count, but they also interview people. If you want to go to Harvard and places like that, of course, your SAT scores must be good. Your scores in high school must be good, but they will also ask you to write an essay. They will interview you. They will want to know you as a person also. And sometimes fellows who get perfect score in SAT may not get in Harvard. The fellow who got less than that gets because they judged him as a more fit student. So this is how well the world is, and this is where we are. And so number one, a teacher must be well versed. To make a subject interesting, you must be well versed. Then you can give a variety of things, to make it interesting. You describe various other things where these things are found. A scholarly person, he quotes from here and there and there and there, and learning opens up the things, makes it interesting. So more informed we are, more we have assimilated, more clear we are, more assimilated we have, more well informed, equipped we are, we can make this subject interesting. When interesting to me, if I am enjoying it, I can make it interesting to you. If I don't enjoy it, my listeners will not enjoy. So this becomes, not just confined to the lesson that we are teaching, but what is connected? How does it connect the life? How does it connect the students and the life? You can see how physics works in our life, how chemistry works in our life, how this, whatever. I'm not saying I'm not doing it, but this is what a good teacher will do. Not just teaching Rama, etc., but then where it comes, how can you identify that form? That gives you a thrill. How to make that teaching interesting. Then students will not only score marks, but they will learn. This is the primary purpose, is learning. Scoring marks is by the way, we have to do that, because that's the practical stuff. But the primary purpose, as I say in the morning, Vidyarthi, yesterday, one is desirous of knowledge. And that's the job of the teacher. You may have heard this saying about the teachers. Vakture vetajjanyam shrotra yatra na buddhyate. Yatra shrota na buddhyate. When the listener does not understand, it is the fault of the speaker, of the teacher. He You feel you stupid, you don't understand. No. It's job of the teacher to make sure that everybody understands. Bhakturaveta Jadyam, that shows Jadyam, the ignorance of the Bhakta, when the Shrota or the listener does not know, does not understand. I mean, that's a big deal anyway. It's a big high, it's what they call tall order. But that's the kind of commitment that the teachers are supposed to have. So make sure that everybody understands. And make them, give them in such a way that they assimilate, that they're interested. They like to learn. You don't have to keep on pushing them out. Have you done the assignment? Have you done this? Have you done that? It's okay, good. Always pushing them. But inspiring them, creating them a desire to learn more. Ideally, that's the job of the teacher. Anyway, so we wish you the best. You have been all good teachers. You saw the results yesterday. It was very impressive. And at the same time, as I said, make it their knowledge. So they assimilate, they learn, they grow. Then only this country can shine. Our country does not shine in spite of all this kind of academic performance because we don't have the basic stuff in us. We don't make thinking people. Our education system does not create thinking people. Only memorizing people, reproducing people, not thinking people. That's why the Western education is different. And we should create thinking people. Well, you can do only this much. You have to continue. You don't have to stop there. So, education, communication is making them interested, making them thinking people. If they're interested, then they want to know more. That's how they become more and more creative. That's how they become creative contributors. With all the best.
That's what Puja Swamiji also said that because we look everything as an order. So physical order, chemical order, it's all manifestation of Ishvara in everything. So we can make it more interesting. So right now many of the faculty members, all of us have started thinking in different levels how to make the class more interesting. In my own personal way, when I have to present a concept in chemistry, for example, I have to tell the students about the importance of hydrogen bonding. There is a thing called hydrogen bonding in chemistry. So I always take it with Swamiji's insight. Without hydrogen bonding, life is not possible on Earth. Only because only because of the presence of water in the liquid state, there is life system on Earth. So if life has to exist on Earth, it's only because of hydrogen bonding. So we are able to, if I am able to connect in the class, students are able to understand it better. So thank you very much, Swamiji, for all your views and how you related it as a primary teacher of Vedanta, being the most advanced teacher of Vedanta. Thank you so much, Swamiji, for your words.
Thank you.
So you said that our Indian system of education is more memories oriented and Western system is application oriented. So I feel that some sort of memorizing is required to know about the fundamental formulas and then know about the fundamental rules. So we need some sort of memorizing. So we need some sort of change in how to apply in the practical life. So we need some sort of memorizing. We need to know what is what about elements, what are the bondings, what about the physical form, is rules, formulas. So I think Indians are memorizing in the different. We are strong in logical thinking, so we are lacking in application thinking. So you have to support the student how to apply memorize in the practical way. So but in computer science we also have always practical oriented, and so we always teach practical exams because we have to write programs for practical oriented banking and also 4 hours because these having reservations. So we are already practicing the application oriented.
Very good, very good.
Thanks.
Shivakumar. Tamil Shivakumar. I made a mistake, brother. I did not introduce the Tamil professors. I made a mistake.
who's sort of
Professor Shivakumar, Professor Ganesha Murthy, Professor Suresh, Professor Shanmuhove.
Very good.
It is my mistake. I did not introduce them.
That's okay.
Shivakumar, you can ask questions.
Swami lectures.
He does Ravshana in Tamil.
Okay.
yeah, it is
Very good. On what topics do you give present? On what topics do you give Ravshana?
Ravshana, Kambaramayana.
Kambaramayana.
Tamil literature, Kambaramayana, and also Periya Purana.
Very good.
Purana.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
Srimad Bhagavatam also.
Oh. To give pravachanam means you must be really well versed. You must study all these in great depth to give pravachanam. That's great. Very good.
so when he speaks, he sort of brings all the whole audience up and everybody.
Yeah. So you had the tradition from in your family,
No, Swamiji.
or you picked up yourself?